Hello, everyone. My name is Clara Bennett, and today I wish to unveil a tale from my past that lingers in the shadows of my heart. Each time the memory washes over me, a deep ache settles in my heart, and I find myself wrestling with the weight of my own guilt. It's a journey I wish I could erase from my memory, yet, as fate would have it, life often leads us down the most tumultuous paths. This tale unfolds many years past when I was merely 18, residing with my family in the enchanting city of London, a place brimming with allure yet shadowed by its own secrets. There was a time when I believed I possessed it all, surrounded by the comforts of a prosperous family and the triumphs of my accomplished parents. Join me on this journey by subscribing to my channel, where I promise to share more captivating tales that tug at the heart. Be sure to watch this video until the very end and show your support with a like, for this story holds a depth that is truly enchanting. Your support means the world to me. A simple click on the like button would truly warm my heart. My father, Henry Davenport, is a man consumed by his work, while my mother, Margaret Davenport, possesses an exquisite eye for beauty in every corner of our home. In the midst of their demanding lives, my parents carved out precious moments to share with me and my two older brothers, Nathaniel and Julian, weaving a tapestry of love and connection that felt both sacred and fleeting. They possess a captivating allure, their charm and striking looks, leaving me utterly enchanted, even though they are 2 years my senior. My heart swells with pride when I think of the bond I share with my brothers, a connection that feels both sacred and unbreakable. Being the youngest, I found myself wrapped in the tender embrace of my parents' affection. They provided me with everything I could ever desire, both in terms of material possessions and affection. Yet, if I'm honest, I always sensed that their love, no matter how profound, paled in comparison to the passion I experienced with Nathaniel and Julian. They were not just my older brothers, they were my role models and protectors, always there to support and guide me through life's challenges. What set their love apart from my parents was the way they expressed their affection through tender gestures and heartfelt actions. My parents' affection was rooted in the stability they offered, yet what I found with Nathaniel and Julian transcended mere comfort. It was a connection that stirred my very soul. They saw into my soul in ways that my parents often failed to grasp. In those quiet moments of despair, they seemed to sense my heart's unspoken turmoil, as if our souls were intertwined in a secret understanding. In moments of vulnerability, they were my sanctuary, always there to hear my heart's whispers, offering an embrace of understanding without a hint of reproach. In my youth, whenever the whispers of cruelty echoed through the halls of school, it was always Nathaniel and Julian who stepped forward, their unwavering support a balm for my wounded spirit. There was a moment etched in my memory when the laughter of my classmates pierced through my heart like a dagger, all because of the dress I had chosen to wear. I returned home, tears streaming down my cheeks, feeling the weight of their words heavy upon my soul. The two brothers, with their unwavering support, not only wrapped me in their warmth, but also ventured into the heart of the school to mend the fractures that had formed around us. They wielded their words like daggers, their icy glances a shield that kept the tormentors at bay, ensuring I would never again feel the sting of their cruelty. In my heart, they were my saviors, ever present, ready to embrace me in my moments of vulnerability. In those cherished evenings, as laughter filled the air and family stories intertwined, my heart found its solace nestled between Nathaniel and Julian. Where the world outside faded into a distant whisper, they would envelop me in warm embraces, playfully bickering over who would have the honor of sitting beside me. They often joked that I was their cherished princess, destined to be shielded by their unwavering devotion for all time. As the days unfolded, I couldn't shake the feeling that their love was a secret, a rare gem hidden away from the prying eyes of the world, unlike anything else that had ever blossomed within our family. They were the ones who guided me through the tender, tumultuous years of my youth. In the quiet moments we shared, when my insecurities crept in like shadows, Julian would take my hand and guide me through the delicate art of makeup. His gentle reminders whispered to my heart, assuring me that my beauty was not just skin deep, but a radiant truth that shone from within. Nathaniel assisted me in choosing outfits, affectionately referring to me as the most adorable little sister imaginable. In their presence, I felt cherished, enveloped in a love that knew no boundaries. In my heart, my brothers were more than mere kin. They were the very essence of my soul's refuge. In the quiet moments when my parents were lost in their own worlds, it was Nathaniel and Julian who filled the silence, ensuring that I always had company, always had warmth beside me. They guided me through the halls of learning, shared whispers of knowledge, and lingered by my side in moments of solitude. There were nights when sleep eluded me, and I found myself drawn to their door, my heart racing with the thrill of the unknown. They would embrace me with warmth, sharing laughter through whimsical tales, or simply remaining by my side until slumber gently took me away. Those tender moments filled me with a sense that their affection for me ran deeper than the love I had known from my parents. Yet, that affection, the one I believed to be untainted, transformed into the wellspring of my deepest sorrow. It's a tale that unfolds slowly, revealing layers of longing and secrecy. Perhaps no one will ever fully grasp the depths of my experience, but the events that unfolded when I was 18 transformed my existence in ways I never anticipated. When I summon the strength, I will unveil the depths of that cherished moment to you. Every detail lingers in my mind, vivid and undeniable. Being the youngest in the family, I found myself lost in a world of reckless abandon where the thrill of mischief danced just beyond the reach of consequence. There were moments when I would leap into their laps or nestle beside them, as if the world around us faded away, leaving only the warmth of our connection. Nathaniel and Julian were not just my brothers, they were my closest confidants, the ones I trusted with my thoughts and aspirations, always providing unwavering support and encouragement. On a sultry summer afternoon, I emerged from the sanctuary of my bedroom. The sunlight poured through the expansive window, casting a warm glow over the living room, creating an intimate and tender ambiance. Nathaniel and Julian found themselves nestled together on the sofa, lost in the world of a TV show, their hearts beating in quiet harmony. Unbeknownst to me, their eyes were locked onto something unseen, a shared secret that held them captive in its spell. In a daze, I wandered over, my fingers brushing against my weary eyes, lost in thoughts that danced just beyond my reach. Without uttering a word, I stepped closer, my heart filled with anticipation and curiosity. As I drew closer, I realized that neither of them was aware of my presence, lost in their own world. With a playful smile, I jumped onto the sofa beside them, settling in comfortably as laughter filled the room. Startled, Nathaniel leaped back, and Julian chuckled softly, teasingly, inquiring, "What mischief are you up to now, little sister?" I couldn't help but let out a soft giggle, choosing silence as I nestled into their embrace, my head finding a perfect resting place on Nathaniel's shoulder. "What are you two watching so intently?" I inquired. My curiosity piqued, yet they remained silent for a moment, lost in their own world. As I caught a glimpse of the flickering images on the TV screen, I discovered they were lost in a tale of love that felt both enchanting and elusive. In that fleeting moment, the film unveiled its heart, an intense scene where the characters drew close, their souls intertwining in a fervent embrace before sealing their unspoken desires with a kiss. As Nathaniel and Julian caught my gaze fixed on the screen, an undeniable tension filled the air, and their discomfort was palpable. Julian offered a shy smile, his hand gently covering my eyes as he whispered, "Don't look, Sophia. This isn't a tale meant for the innocent." I giggled softly, slipping away from his hold. I have grown beyond the innocence of youth. At the tender age of 18, I playfully hinted. My voice danced with a light-hearted lilt, yet within me stirred a deep and earnest curiosity. Even as he tried to shield my gaze, I couldn't help but steal glances through Julian's fingers, laughter bubbling up as I playfully taunted him. In that fleeting instant, my hand found its way to Julian's thigh, a gesture both unintentional and electric, as if the world around us faded into a mere whisper. Perhaps it was fate, or maybe just a fleeting moment, but as I reached out, my fingers brushed against something in his pocket, a moment that caught me by surprise and filled me with curiosity. I withdrew my hand, a wave of panic surging within me. My heart ached as I turned away from Julian and Nathaniel, a tide of shame washing over me, leaving me breathless and vulnerable. "Forgive me," I whispered, my heart racing as I fled to the sanctuary of my room. I closed the door with a force that echoed my turmoil, leaning against it as my heart raced, a guilty secret swirling within me, as if I had crossed an unspoken boundary. As I sat on my bed, the weight of the moment lingered in my mind, an intoxicating blend of exhilaration and despair. Was I lost in my thoughts, or had fate intervened in a way I never expected? The warmth from Julian's pocket lingered in my thoughts, igniting a blush that spread across my cheeks. Uncertainty clouded my mind, yet an all-consuming shame wrapped around my heart like a heavy shroud. I found myself lost in a whirlwind of emotions, questioning whether Nathaniel and Julian would simply dismiss it with laughter. Yet, the memory lingered, haunting me as I replayed that moment over and over in my mind. Not because I had ventured into forbidden territory, but because I had unknowingly stepped beyond a boundary that should have remained untouched. It was in that moment I realized the invisible wall that had kept us apart, one I believed to be solid and unyielding, was far more delicate than I ever imagined. As the evening wore on, I found myself retreating to the sanctuary of my room, lost in a whirlwind of thoughts. Eventually, I gathered the courage to descend the stairs, drawn by an unspoken longing that pulled me toward the world beyond my door. My heart ached with a hunger that went beyond the physical, a longing that pulled me away from the warmth of my family. They were likely waiting for me, but the weight of earlier lingered in the air, leaving me feeling exposed and vulnerable. I couldn't shake the thought of Nathaniel and Julian, their minds possibly replaying the moments that had unfolded between us, a secret dance of emotions that felt both thrilling and forbidden. I whispered to myself that perhaps it wasn't as profound as I had imagined. Perhaps they had chosen to let it slip away, lost in the shadows of what could never be. With a heart full of unspoken words, I gently pushed my door ajar and crept down the dimly lit hallway, each step a careful dance to evade their gaze. As I approached the living room, I hesitated, drawn in by the whispers that danced through the air. In that moment, a wave of tranquility washed over me, and I exhaled softly, feeling the weight of unspoken desires lift from my heart. I believed they were lost in the warmth of the kitchen, or perhaps hidden away in another corner of the house. As I stepped into the living room, a wave of unexpected solitude washed over me. How peculiar, I mused, as I lingered by the sofa where I had once found solace. As I fumbled with the remote, lost in the sea of choices, a whisper of voices drifted in from behind me, stirring something deep within. Julian's voice pierced the silence, laced with a mix of concern and longing. "What are you doing, Sophia?" I gasped in surprise, and Nathaniel's laughter rang out, teasingly declaring, "You look like a thief." My heart raced as I gasped, spinning around to find them both there, unexpected and electrifying. Their unexpected arrival sent a jolt through my heart, and in that moment, we all reacted in unison, caught in a breathless pause. As Julian and Nathaniel shared a laugh, I found myself frozen in place, my heart racing with a mix of surprise and delight. You both startled me to the core, I said, attempting to feign anger, but the laughter bubbled up uncontrollably. What about your heart's secret desires? You seem to be hiding something, don't you? Nathaniel teased, a playful glint in his eyes, while Julian affectionately ruffled my hair. Are you truly considering indulging in something to eat, my dear? I joined in their laughter, my heart fluttering with a mix of joy and longing. The tension that had hung in the air began to fade away, leaving a sense of unspoken connection between us. I found myself questioning the reality of what my fingers had brushed against, as if the very essence of it defied my understanding. In another world, Nathaniel and Julian would not be sharing this laughter, a sound that dances between the lines of what is allowed and what is yearned for. That thought wrapped around me like a warm embrace, offering a fleeting sense of solace as I endeavored to mask the truth of what had transpired. I found myself hesitating, my heart racing as I whispered, I was just, well, checking to see if anyone was here, attempting to steer the conversation away from the unspoken tension that hung between us. What secrets are you two whispering about behind my back? Were you trying to scare me? Nathaniel asked, a playful glint in his eye, feigning seriousness as the tension hung between us. Oh, I only meant to tease you, but seeing you startle like that was more than I anticipated, Julian chuckled softly, his eyes sparkling with mischief. Who could have imagined you would leap like that? Your expression was utterly unforgettable. In that moment, laughter spilled from our lips, a sweet melody that echoed the unspoken connection between us. The weight of unspoken words finally dissolved into the air. In that fleeting moment, Julian's hand found its way to my shoulder, a gentle yet electrifying touch, and he whispered, All right, let's go eat. Everyone is eagerly anticipating your arrival. I nodded, a smile playing on my lips, and stepped into the kitchen, where the warmth of the family enveloped me like a secret shared among lovers. As I entered the room, their smiles enveloped me like a gentle embrace, a moment of pure warmth that felt almost sacred. I settled into my chair, enveloped by the soft glow that wrapped around us like a tender embrace. As we sat across from each other, the air was thick with unspoken words, and laughter danced between us like a secret melody, hinting at the depths of what could never be openly shared. As my parents engaged in their discussions about work, I found myself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. While Nathaniel and Julian playfully teased me, their laughter echoing like a sweet melody in the air. I found myself swept up in the moment, and the earlier blush of shame began to dissolve into something more intoxicating. After dinner, I lingered in the warmth of the kitchen, assisting my mother with the dishes, the soft clinking of porcelain echoing our shared moments. Once the last plate was dried and put away, I retreated to my room, the door closing softly behind me as I prepared for bed, my heart still fluttering with unspoken thoughts. As I lay in bed that night, my mind wandered to the moments of the afternoon, each memory a whisper of what could never be. Though a blush lingered on my cheeks from the events that had unfolded, the tightness in my chest had eased, replaced by a flutter of something unspoken. A soft smile sped my lips as I whispered sweet promises to my heart, assuring it that all would be well in the end. Nathaniel and Julian were the epitome of brotherly love, and as I drifted into slumber, a sense of tranquility enveloped me, assuring me that the shadows of the past had finally receded. Yet it was not as it seemed. Our worlds were divided by nothing more than a fragile barrier, allowing even the softest whispers of laughter or the tender notes of a song to drift effortlessly between us. One fateful morning, I, a creature of habit who cherished the embrace of slumber, found myself stirring at the unthinkable hour of 7 a.m. In the quiet stillness of dawn, in that moment, I felt as if I had emerged from a dream, one that lingered just beyond the edges of my memory, or perhaps it was the gentle caress of sunlight filtering through the curtains that pulled me from my reverie. As I awoke, A faint sound from the adjacent room caught my attention, stirring my curiosity. My room nestled between Nathaniel and Julian's spaces, our home crafted in a timeless style with delicate walls that allowed whispers and melodies to dance freely from one room to another, creating an intimate tapestry of sound that bound us together, even in our separate worlds. The familiar sounds of Nathaniel and Julian laughing and playing games filled the air, but this morning an unexpected hush lingered, as if the world around them held its breath, waiting for something unspoken to unfold. It wasn't a thunderous sound, but it held a clarity that drew me in, stirring something deep within my heart. Initially, I believed they were merely engrossed in an action film, lost in the thrill of the moment, yet as time slipped away an unsettling feeling began to creep in, whispering that something deeper was unfolding beneath the surface. The sounds enveloped me, unlike the familiar clamor of a film, whispering secrets of a world where our hearts dared to tread. It came in waves, a rhythm that danced between languid moments and hurried pulses. Reflect on the past. As I entered my sanctuary, I gently shut the door, pressing my back against it, allowing a heavy sigh to escape my lips. My heart raced wildly, as if I had stumbled upon a secret that was never meant for my eyes. The flush of embarrassment settled deep within me, an unshakable reminder of that fleeting moment that consumed my thoughts. Julian and Nathaniel exchanged glances, and the quiet between us lingered in my thoughts long after. I endeavored to cast aside the shadows of doubt, yet with each attempt, they only grew more insistent, wrapping around my heart like an uninvited guest. I found myself whispering to my heart that this was merely an unforeseen twist of fate, an occurrence neither of us had wished for. Yet deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that it had irrevocably altered the bond we shared. Moments later, a gentle knock echoed through the stillness of my room. My heart ached, and I sensed it wasn't my parents, for they typically entered only when they sought something from me. It had to be either Nathaniel or Julian, the two souls entwined in a dance of longing and secrecy. With a heart racing and a flutter of anticipation, I inhaled deeply, seeking solace in the moment before I dared to cross the threshold. Julian lingered in the shadows, his cheeks flushed with a mix of longing and shame, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily between us. He averted his eyes, his hands trembling with an unspoken tension. "Sophia, I can't express how deeply sorry I am for what transpired earlier," he murmured, his voice tender and filled with regret. "It's not as simple as it appears." As we sat together, lost in the flickering images on the screen, I couldn't shake the feeling that perhaps the moment was not meant to be. I lingered in that moment, caught in a web of uncertainty. In the depths of Julian's gaze, I sensed a tumult of emotions, a hesitation that spoke volumes. Then Nathaniel appeared in the doorway behind him, a presence that stirred something deep within. He appeared equally uneasy, his gaze flitting between me and Julian, searching for the perfect words to bridge the unspoken tension between us. Silence enveloped us, stretching out like an unspoken promise, as the weight of our shared secret hung in the air. The air was heavy with unspoken words, and I sensed we were all grappling with the weight of what lay between us, yearning to find a way forward. I understood that if this tension lingered, it would only deepen the chasm between us, so I chose to shatter the stillness that enveloped us. I offered a shy smile, attempting to mask the electric tension that hung between us. "Please, I didn't truly mean it," I whispered, my heart heavy with unspoken truths. "Try to relax, my love." As I wandered through the familiar streets, my heart raced at the thought of what could have been, a fleeting moment that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. Is it truly so? Nathaniel and I exchanged a glance, a fleeting moment that spoke volumes between us. After a fleeting moment of hesitation, Julian exhaled softly, a hint of a smile gracing his lips once more. Are you truly fine with this, Sophia? Are you truly at ease? I nodded with a sense of urgency, hoping to ease their worries and bring a flicker of comfort to the moment. Yes, I'm all right. To be truthful, I believe we all find ourselves in a delicate dance, navigating the unspoken tension that lingers between us. In a moment of vulnerability, I proposed a gathering, a chance for the three of us to share our hearts and thoughts in the soft glow of understanding. Perhaps this will allow us to unveil the truth that lingers between us. Nathaniel and Julian exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of astonishment and intrigue at my proposition. After a brief pause, they both nodded, a silent agreement hanging in the air, charged with unspoken possibilities. We slipped into my room, the door closing softly behind us, and I sank onto the bed, heart racing with unspoken words. In a moment of vulnerability, I chose to weave a light-hearted jest, hoping to dissolve the heavy air that surrounded us. I gazed at Nathaniel, a playful smile dancing on my lips. In that moment, the world around you faded away, and time slipped through your fingers like sand as the film wove its enchanting spell over both of you. Nathaniel chuckled softly, a hint of vulnerability in his eyes as he shielded his face with his hands, lost in a moment that felt both exhilarating and forbidden. Oh, Sophia, why must you play with my heart like this? We never imagined you would catch our whispered secrets. Is it true? I arched my brows with a teasing glimmer in my eyes. I believed you all raised the volume so that my heart could catch every whisper of your words. As our laughter intertwined, the tension that once lingered between us faded into the background, leaving only the warmth of our shared moment. After a moment of hesitation, my heart raced as I stole a glance at Nathaniel and Julian, contemplating whether to voice the thoughts that had been swirling in my mind. In the stillness of that fleeting moment, my heart raced as I summoned the strength to voice my deepest thoughts. What if we embarked on an adventure reminiscent of that film? They slipped from my lips, unbidden and raw, before I had the chance to hold them back. Uncertainty washed over me as I pondered their potential reactions. Yet an undeniable wave of curiosity pulled at my heart, urging me to explore the depths of the unknown. Nathaniel and Julian gazed at me, their eyes wide with astonishment. "Do you truly mean that?" Julian inquired, his voice laced with uncertainty and a hint of longing. I nodded, my heart racing as I fought to maintain a facade of seriousness. My heart was stirred by an insatiable curiosity. "Maybe taking this chance will lead to something meaningful," I spoke softly, my gaze thoughtful. "Absolutely not," Nathaniel responded without hesitation, his head shaking with conviction. They both averted their gazes, an unmistakable tension hanging in the air. Yet my heart refused to surrender. I held their hands, drawing comfort from their presence, a quiet reassurance in an uncertain moment. Just let yourself experience it, if only for a moment. I wanted to fully grasp the emotions unfolding before me. After an eternity of unspoken words, Julian let out a heavy sigh, breaking the stillness that hung between them. "Okay, just this once, and let's keep it between us for now. Let's keep this moment just between us." His voice was a soft whisper, laden with the weight of unspoken desires and the delicate dance of what should never be crossed. The air was thick with unspoken words, our breaths mingling in the stillness that enveloped us. My heart quickened as I took each step forward, the moment filled with anticipation. Time slipped through my fingers like sand, and in that moment, it seemed as though the universe had vanished, leaving just the two of us in our own secret haven. As the final moments faded away, golden rays of sunlight poured into the room, enveloping us in a serene hush that lingered in the air. In the silence that enveloped us, we lay side by side, our breaths intertwining in a gentle rhythm, each heartbeat echoing the unspoken words that lingered in the air. The anxiety that once gripped my heart had faded, giving way to a profound bond that felt both exhilarating and perilous. As we made our way to the kitchen, the air between us was charged with an unspoken understanding, and the act of preparing lunch felt like a dance we had always known, as if the world outside had faded away, leaving only the two of us in this moment. Yet within the depths of my heart, I sensed that the line separating us had begun to blur. As we settled at the table, Julian turned to me with a warm smile and gently inquired, "Are you all right?" I nodded, a shy smile gracing my lips in response. "I'm well, and I find my feelings for both of you have deepened even further." A flush crept across my cheeks as I spoke, yet they simply took my hand, their smile radiating a warmth that enveloped me in a tender embrace. "So it was true," they whispered. As we savored each bite, an unacknowledged shift lingered between us, a silent understanding that our connection had evolved. I chose to embrace the moment, valuing the bond we shared without looking back. From that moment on, something between us subtly changed, an unspoken yet noticeable shift. What we once shared, so innocent and uncomplicated, has now ventured into a realm we never dared to explore. The closeness we once knew had transformed into a tangled web of emotions, each thread pulling us deeper into a world we dared not fully embrace. Each time our gazes intertwined, a fresh revelation sparked between us, an intimacy that had eluded us until that moment. Though we never voiced it, an undeniable connection lingered in the air, subtly altering the space between us in ways that defied explanation. Yet, as the shift in our connection unfolded, a part of me recognized the truth that lingered beneath the surface. It was a path we were never meant to tread. The bond we shared was complex, challenging the boundaries of familiarity and understanding. We surrendered to the intoxicating pull of our desires, and though it drew us nearer in ways I never anticipated, it also etched a lingering shadow upon my soul. It was impossible to overlook the truth that we had crossed lines that were never meant to be crossed, even if our hearts had led us there unwittingly. The choices we made transformed my perception of everything around me, and the burden of that realization pressed down on my heart. At times, the memories wash over me, and I find myself ensnared by a familiar unease as I revisit that fateful moment. The tension still lingers in the air, a reminder of unspoken feelings that refuse to fade away. Every time my gaze meets Nathaniel's or Julian's, I feel a shift in the atmosphere, a silent tension that hovers just out of reach, waiting to be acknowledged. We never spoke of that moment again, as if an unspoken pact bound us to forget and carry on, leaving the echoes of our hearts unacknowledged. Yet, the way they regard me now feels transformed. They move with a tenderness that speaks volumes, each gesture laced with a quiet fear of causing me pain despite the undeniable love that binds us. Every time our gazes intertwine, my heart quickens, caught in a whirlwind of unspoken emotions. There's a blend of exhilaration and trepidation, an emotion that courses through me like a forbidden secret, unlike anything I've ever experienced. The energy of our youth led us into an experience filled with emotions we were still learning to understand. Our connection grew stronger, yet it took on a new complexity, and I wondered if things would ever be the same again. As I reflect on those moments, I can't help but acknowledge the recklessness and naivety that guided my choices. In the depths of our longing, we ventured into a realm where shadows danced and whispers lingered, breaching a boundary that was never meant to be shattered. Though I hold no regrets, I cannot escape the haunting shadows of guilt and confusion that entwine my heart. It lingers in my thoughts, a bittersweet reminder that the allure of the unknown can often draw us into perilous territories. Though we never meant for our paths to intertwine in such a way, fate had other plans, and now we find ourselves navigating the aftermath of our choices. In the depths of my heart, this journey has unveiled a profound truth to me. There are moments when curiosity calls, promising new insights and understanding. Yet, with every choice, there is a risk of shifting the delicate balance of the relationships we hold dear, challenging the very boundaries that safeguard our hearts. The confines of existence are not meant to hold us back. They linger in the shadows, guiding us away from choices that could haunt our hearts forever. At times, the weight of desire pulls at the heart, yet choosing to remain steadfast and anchored can be the wisest path to tread. To those who find themselves in this moment with me, I feel compelled to share a whisper of wisdom. Beware of fleeting desires that may tempt you to jeopardize the bonds you cherish most. In the quiet moments of reflection, one must pause, allowing the heart's fervent whispers to settle, and consider the intricate tapestry of what lies ahead. The allure of passion can be intoxicating, yet the shadows of tomorrow beckon for careful contemplation. Intense feelings, though ephemeral, can weave a tapestry of consequences that linger long after the moment has passed. Hold dear the connections that fill your heart, honoring the delicate lines that define them. Genuine love, the kind that endures through time, does not demand reckless gestures to affirm its depth. It thrives on the delicate threads of trust, the gentle embrace of respect, the deep currents of understanding, and the weight of responsibility that binds us together. That is the most profound truth I have come to understand.